Good morning to everybody. This is Sean Slade here from Rye, Colorado. Sure excited to have a chance to spend just a minute with you. This is a live webinar for teachers and for individual users that want to learn better how to advance their own and their students' piano progress. Let me tell you my story really quick. I'm coming at you from Rye, Colorado here, a little town in southern Colorado, right on the base of the mountains. We have maybe a couple thousand people if you include cows and whatnot. I got a degree in piano performance and pedagogy, and I got halfway through a master's. And at that point, I walked away totally from music for the next 2 decades. Now, I still played for church and for fun things and that kind of thing, but I didn't do anything as far as a profession with music. And you know, once music is in your blood, it's really hard to go away from it. And so the reason why I walked away is it seemed like there was a lack of inspiration and fun when it came to not only the teaching side, but also the learning side of music. And I just could not figure out how to invent myself. And so fast forward that about 2 decades. We moved to Rye, Colorado with my family. I have a wife and kids and beautiful kids who I love. And I met Aaron Garner, the founder of Piano Marvel. And he said, Sean, if you use Piano Marvel with your students and with your own kids, they will learn 4 times faster than any other way you could possibly teach them. And I thought that was a pretty audacious statement, but I was failing miserably teaching my own kids. So I figured, what the heck, let me try it out and see what happens. And so I watched my kids for 2 years. And I was so amazed, not only the skill set they learned, the sight reading, the ear training, I mean, every aspect of music, but more importantly to me, they learned to love music. And it wasn't necessarily important to me that they arrived in Carnegie Hall for recital, but it was important that they learned to love music and have it to bless their entire life. And so what we're going to talk about today is the basics, how to use Piano Marvel. And so let's jump right in. I'm going to share my screen with you. And there we go. Hopefully you can see that okay. And so let's jump in and look at the app. So I'm going to back up here just a little bit. If you have not figured out how to log in yet, it's very simple. pianomarvel.com. At the top right, click Launch App Now. The first time you go here, it'll ask you to actually download a plugin which will allow the program to score your playing. Go ahead and do that. If you haven't created an account yet, create a free account. This, by the way, teachers, is also how you're going to create a free account for all of your students, and that's very important. In a minute, we're going to talk about the neurological conditioning of technology and why it's so important. But it's very important for every one of your students to have their own account so they can get to 100% by themselves for their own account, so they can fill up their own trophy cases. So email address, password. If you have a lot of students in your studio, I'd suggest use the same password for all of your students. Keep it simple. For promo code and teacher code, for teacher code, that is, you can go ahead and use your own teacher email address. For promo code, you can go ahead and use student unless you've been assigned a promotional code of your own. If you have any questions on that, go ahead and send an email to contact us at pianomarvel.com. So once you've created an account, then put your username in here, password, click Remember Me, and it will instantly save all of the passwords right here. So next time you come to this point, all you have to do is click on your username, and in 2 seconds, you are practicing. And so let's talk about the different aspects and the different tools here. There's 2 different trophy cases that you're going to spend a lot of time in. One is the method section. You can see there's 6 levels here. Each of the levels has 5 books. Each of the books has 20 pieces of music. And so our objective here is to get a golden piano trophy in our trophy case. In order to do that, we need to get at least 96% accuracy on all 20 songs in that book. If you want a golden trophy with a star on it, you need to get 100% on all of those. And so method section, there's some fantastic music that your students and you will really love. The technique section has things like ear training, note recognition, scales, chords, arpeggios. There really is an important set of skills that you and your students will learn here. It's like, I suggest that it's like learning a new language, say Chinese. Let's pretend that you don't speak a word of Chinese, and I gave you a novel in Chinese. I said, okay, go ahead and read that. 30 days later, I say, okay, how's your reading coming of that novel? And you're crying, I can't figure it out. But let's assume that I were to teach you the 20 most used words in the Chinese language. At that point, you could begin to figure out some of the other important aspects of that language. And that's what theory does. That's what technique does. It helps us see and understand the patterns. It helps us see them on the page, see them on the keyboard. It helps us hear those patterns, so that when we come across those patterns again, we instantly recognize those. And so for those reasons, the technique section is very important. If you want to improve your sight reading, if you want to improve your ability to play by ear, then make sure you use some of the technique section as well. And so your objective then is to fill up your trophy case here. I wanted to share one of the people we love that is one of our teachers is a lady by the name of Valerie Kashmir. By the way, if you're a music teacher, I suggest you take a look at her new video here. Lessons on the Lake is launching a new online music lesson. But she did a presentation for us at our pedagogy conference in Salt Lake. We will have that video out for you shortly. It was a great video. She and her husband have been studying neuroscience feedback for the last several decades. And when I first talked to her as a teacher, she told me something that was very interesting. She said, Sean, I have 50 students. Every one of those students will be using Piano Marvel in their home in the next 30 days. I thought that was a pretty audacious statement, but what happened was I said, well, Valerie, why are you so excited about this? She says, Sean, for the last several decades, my husband and I have been studying neurofeedback and what the brain requires to want to learn to love. Want to learn some new technique, and want to learn to love something exciting in their life. She says every brain is hardwired to want instant feedback, instant praise, instant recognition. And she says Piano Marvel is the most amazing tool I've ever seen. She says, I figured out no matter what kind of a song and dance show I can do in my studio, how do I keep my students motivated for the next 7 days? We have to learn how the brain works. And she says every 30 seconds they get a score. And, they begin to fill up their trophy case. And it's not just for children. My father called me a while back and he said, I did it. I just got a golden trophy on level 3B. So every student is hardwired in their brain to want specific things. By the way, until we get her video of our pedagogy conference out, here's another great video that you can share with your students. This is a great video on YouTube, How Playing an Instrument Benefits Your Brain by Anita Collins. Watch that. It's a great video. So our objective then is to motivate ourselves and motivate our students to progress in our studies. And so we have the methods section, we have the technique section. If you're a teacher, I believe the most important, valuable thing you can do for your students is learn to inspire and motivate them. That's number one task. It's not to be the critic to show them what notes they miss. That's easy. Any computer program, any mediocre teacher can do that. Our objective, though, as a teacher is to inspire them. How do we do that? This inspiration game really is a weekly task that we've got to be in the game for. We've got to know, what do our students need this week to advance them to the next level? A couple things we do. We can have the parents do a little reward system for the trophy case. With my own kids, I paid my own kids $1 for every golden trophy they got on level 1, $2 for everyone level 2, $3 all the way on up. It gets a little expensive when you have 2 kids at the level 6 level, but I'll tell you what, it's well worth it. And so that's one thing you can do. The other thing I think is the second most important task for us as teachers is to find music that our students are passionate about. What kind of music do they want to love? What kind of music do they want to learn? So in our library section, we have thousands of pieces of music, anything from the latest popular music from Beauty and the Beast to 1,000 Years, piano guy stuff, all kinds of things here. So if I have a student at level 3 or level 4, I'm going to find a song at level 5, 6, maybe even level 7 that I can teach them. If I have a student at level 1 or 2, then I'm going to find something at level 3 or level 4. And important, I'm going to make sure they understand how to use the mint slicing. So I'm going to click on, this is a Clementi Sonatina. I'm going to click on the minced slicing. Now, if you don't know what slicing is, just click on this video right here on the right side. That'll show you exactly what it is. The first exercise breaks up a piece into the first phrase, only the right hand. And so I'm going to have my student play this at the very slowest speed. As soon as they get 100%, then I'm going to have them go to the middle speed, that same phrase. Then fast speed at that same phrase. Now, at that point, they've pretty much memorized the right hand in that first phrase. So when they go on to exercise number 2 and do the left hand, they do that 3 speeds. So when they get to exercise 3, they've memorized pretty much the right hand and the left hand separately. So it's not intimidating to put hands together at that point. My teacher, Dr. Poli, he's the founder of the Gina Bachauer International Piano Competition. I probably didn't qualify to work with him. He was a really amazing teacher. But when I first showed up to work with him as a freshman in college at the university there, studying piano performance and pedagogy, he told me something. He said, "Sean, you must learn how to practice." And I didn't know if that was a compliment. I figured out later that was not actually a compliment. But almost every week for the first 2 years of studying with him, he would write in my music with a different color magic marker, how to practice, slowly, hand separately, small sections. And so he would roll over in his grave if he saw this amazing tool here, because what it does, it breaks up thousands of pieces of music into bite-sized pieces and forces them to practice perfectly. Let me just share with you one of our other teachers here. This is Nina Black. She's in the Modesto, a fantastic teacher. She has 80 students out there. She has students that have gone to Juilliard. I asked her last year, I said, "Nina, tell us what you think about the Piano Marvel. What has been powerful for you and your students?" And she said, "Sean, I believe my students that use the mint slicing can learn a piece of repertory 8 times faster because it forces them to practice perfectly." And so do not underestimate how powerful this aspect of Piano Marvel is. This is a really important, valuable tool here. And so slicing in the library, your first objective as a teacher is to motivate and inspire. Closely related to that is number 2 objective is find music that your students love. Find music that they love to play. I need to email you a document that we have not yet connected to the app. It's called Recital Pieces. And what it is, it's it's about 200 of the favorite pieces of music in the app. What they are is they're student savers. What a student needs periodically is a piece of music that sounds cool, sounds exciting, that is easy to learn. And so what this Recital Pieces document does, it's a list of about 200 pieces, including duets, that will inspire your students. So take a look at that document. Send me an email, Sean Slade, SEANSLADE, at pianomarvel.com. Sean Slade at pianomarvel.com. I will get that to you, as well as our new video training. Matter of fact, let me show this to you. Looks like, there you go. This is our new video training that we've just launched. We are going to have this connected to the app here shortly, but there are some great resources here. Anything from how to create scales and chords, how to upload your own music, how to use the practice mode, how to use mint slicing, how to take the SASR, how to take the sight reading test. And so make sure you email me, Sean Slade at pianomarvel.com. I'll get you a link to this list as well as our Recital Pieces doc. So let's go from there. We've talked about method, we've talked about technique, we've talked about the library. One more thing, actually a couple more things I want to spend just a minute with you on today. The standard assessment of sight reading. There is a different part of our brain that is used when we have practiced something 40 times and we try to play it again, compared to how we see it when we see a piece of music and we instantly have to recognize those patterns and begin to play that music. So sight reading is so important, whether we go into music as a profession or whether we do it for fun. Just being able to sit down and read something is so important. As we travel around the country, different conferences, we always, every conference, have a young student that comes up and amazes us. They play fantasy impromptu. They play a Mozart piano concerto. Then we say, okay, let's take the sight reading test, see how you do. And unbelievably, they can't read past a level 2, even though they're playing some of this very advanced music. I think as teachers, we're doing disservice and we're creating a disillusionment for our students if we don't help them learn how to become fantastic readers. And so the standard assessment of sight reading. Let me show you how this works. We click Start Test Now, and it brings up 3 different possibilities for a test. Just so you know, there are 18 levels in the SASR, 18 levels of difficulty. In each of those 18 levels, there are 5 sub-levels. So 18 times 5 equals 90, right? And so there's 90 scientifically graded difficulty levels. Ask me another day and I will tell you how this is scientific. And I believe it's the only scientifically graded model on the market. And so if you have a beginning student, level 1, level 2 student, have them just click on Start Test Now. It gives them a piece of music and it gives them 20 seconds to review that piece of music. After 20 seconds, it's just going to start. It's going to count down and they need to play along with that. The difference between the beginning test and the intermediate test, the beginning test will always begin on level 1A, and no matter what score they get, it'll only advance them forward 1 sub-level. The intermediate test will will choose a random level on level 2, but if they get 100%, it'll advance them up to 5 sub-levels. So if they get a song on level 2C, they get 100% on that, it'll advance them up to 3C. The beginning test, it'll go from 1A, 1B, 1C, no matter what score they get, just so it has more repetition. Advanced assessment begins at level 7. And so whatever test you begin at, the next time you come back and take the test, it'll take you back 3 levels. So let's say you're an advanced reader, you get up to level 14. The next time you take this, so it'll start you level 7, the first time you take the assessment. The next time you take the assessment, it'll take you back to level 11 because it takes you back 3 levels. What we want to do is we want to practice on those levels that we need some repetition on, and then what the SASR does, it pushes us up against our sight reading level. So every day is pushing us up against our maximum level for sight reading. So the standard assessment of sight reading, you can see how it tracks our reading ability. I still have not passed my 1400 level yet. I hope Nina doesn't pass me on that. I'm going to be very aggravated if she does. I need to start practicing again. But what's cool about this, not only is it an assessment question, how do we improve something if we don't know what level we're at? Sight reading is one of those things. If we don't know what level we're sight reading at, there's no clear path to see how to improve in that area. And so the second thing that the SASR does, though, is it's a tool that you can use on a daily basis and or weekly, monthly basis to improve your student sight reading. And so I would suggest right now, schedule a 30-day sight reading challenge. It is an amazing thing. My son, Gabe, matter of fact, I'm going to show you what he accomplished. Make sure that you connect all of your students to you when you create an account for them. If they've already created an account, then go ahead and contact us and we can make sure they're linked to you. Or you can, easier yet, you can just click on profile and you can automatically link students to you in the software. Matter of fact, go back to dashboard here. I'll show you how to do that. Click on profile. Logged in as that student in your lesson in order for them to be linked to you. So let's talk about then reports. So there are 3 or 4 reports I just want to briefly mention to you right now. Go ahead and watch the video on how to use these. But group practice minutes, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to pull up your students and see exactly how many minutes a day your students have practiced, how many minutes they've practiced for the month. You can email this document to your parents, and you have an additional resource for accountability. The progress report, you can see exactly who's accomplished what as far as a method section, the technique section. By the way, any of these documents are great to go ahead and post in your studio. I was going to show you, this is Gabe, my son. This is, I think it was 2 years ago. I said, Gabe, take the SASR test every day for 30 days, and I'll buy you a giant sized chocolate bar. He said, all right, Dad. And so what happens is 30 days, in 30 days, he improved his sight reading from 730 to 875. But what was interesting, after that month, guess what? He's thinking, I bet I could beat 900. And so a couple of weeks later, he beat 900. It took him a little while longer to beat 1,000, but I'll tell you what, as he's 15 years old and he's sight reading at the same level as a piano major. As a matter of fact, he has for the last 2 years. And so wouldn't it be amazing if any of our 13-year-old students or 11, some of you have 9 or 11-year-old students are actually reading at the same level as a piano major. So it's amazing to see what can be accomplished if we know what our sight reading score is, and then we begin to focus on that. So those are some of the reports. There are custom reports that we can create for you as well. Let me just show you one more thing. I wanted to take you on a quick tour of our studio here. And so hopefully this doesn't log me out here. Matter of fact, I better not try this. It might log me out. But this is, I was going to show you a picture of our studio. You can see a big poster of the trophy case in our studio. And this is probably the best thing we've ever done to motivate our students. I would suggest everybody, whether you're a teacher or an individual user, get one of these. Go to musicmarvel.com, go to our store, and I think for $30 you can get the entire kit to put up a Piano Marvel poster on your wall. And so what this allows you to do is track your progress, track your students' progress. We put their individual pictures on the wall. We also put their sight reading scores in the very corner so they can see what everybody's sight reading score is. And so what happens, the very first thing that happens is when they come in for a lesson, they look at their score and they're wondering, I wonder who's passed me this week. And so what's exciting about that is they instantly know, oh, I need to pass off these 3 songs in order to advance my picture this week. And so it's exciting when we can see how motivated they are to move to the next level in their studies there. So those are just a couple ideas. I'm going to see if I can access any questions here. Sorry, I've got a couple different computer screens going here. I'm trying to figure out how to get this here. If you have questions, please send and please let me know what those questions are so I can help you with that. Hold on just a second. Let me look. See if I can. Sorry, I can't find any of your questions right now. I'm sure you have them. One of the questions that a lot of teachers ask is, well, not all of my students have a digital keyboard. Can they use this? And so the answer is yes. On this video document that I'll send you, there's a video, students with acoustic pianos. It talks about how they can use the book mode. How it talks about 3 or 4 other options they can use as well. Even if they don't have an ability to be assessed, a Piano Marvel is still hugely important for them. Not only do they get to access all the great accompaniments, but it has the mint slicing, and they can track their own progress with a check mark in their own individual app. That's the first question. Some students, some teachers have questions about what does it cost per student? And so the answer is this. To begin with, create a free account for all of your students. The free account has access to everything except for copyrighted material for the first 30 days. After that, then forever, your students will have access to all of level 1 method, all of level 1 technique, and about 100 pieces of music in the library. And so create a free account. After that, if they've used a promo code, then it's $12 a month or $99 a year. And so the value for students, there's thousands of pieces of music at that point they can print off for free at any time. So instead of having to get new books every 3 months, they can go ahead and basically just use all the free material in the app. By the way, for the new premium subscribers, all of the copyrighted material is complimentary as well. I was going to show you. If you go to youtube.com and type in Piano Marvel YouTube competition, and there you'll see some of the great videos that have been created for our competitions. You'll see we have we have duets, we have ensembles, we have our band. We just released our drum selections and guitar selections. We only have about 10 or 12 songs so far in the library, but at this point, your students in the studio are able to actually work together to not only play ensembles but play in a band. Some of the popular music, some of the stuff they love, and they can currently be assessed on drums, bass, guitar, and piano. So it really is a fun thing. Even though our studio, we teach in a group here, whether they're beginning or advanced, we do teach in a group. We have one-on-one lessons we teach through Skype, but in a group setting, it is so exciting to see the students have the opportunity to play in a band and play the music they love. And as teachers, I think that's so important. Anyway, sorry I can't access any of your questions here. I'm trying to figure out how to find those. I promise next week for our training, we'll have a great presentation next week for you of different content. I promise we'll figure out how to review your questions. If you have any questions between now and then, go ahead and send me an email, seanslade@pianomarvel.com. Thanks for signing in, and I look forward to connecting.